What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I'm joined again with my conversation partner, Speckzo Politics. We're going to be talking
So,
about a couple right-leaning issues that I think the right could probably, stand to benefit from listening to our chat. But how are you doing today, Speckzo?
living the dream, surviving the nightmare as always, man. Trying
Nice.
to get another day alive, living for Christ and spreading the good word.
I feel you, man. And you got a Nick retweet today, so that's
I did.
always fun too.
That's very
That's
white. You know what's weird?
awesome.
This is me because I know that it's not true. It's just I'm insane in my head. I think that when Nick doesn't like a tweet of mine or retweet me for like a couple of days, that like he's mad at me.
Yeah,
He doesn't even think about me.
exactly.
I'm not even on his radar. Like I'm just
Exactly.
it's like self-centeredness. It's like he hasn't liked the tweet in like 6 days. Like,
It's
did I
like,
do something wrong?
yeah,
Am I
yeah.
still
Was I
part of the movement?
was I on optical?
Yeah.
But no, that's cool, though, man. Yeah, we wanted to touch on a couple news items, and I think it ties into a larger trend. But I'm sure you saw this. Dr. Seuss is now canceled. Mr. Potato Head is gender neutral now.
They've gone too far.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Scott Greer said.
Yeah, castrating our children was one thing, all right? Taking out Christianity from our nation. Okay, we could deal with that stuff, but not letting me have Dr. Seuss, now we got to fight back.
But not my Dr. Seuss,
Yeah,
exactly.
not my Dr. Seuss. How dare you?
So yeah, they're canceling him, and I even hate that term because it's being so misused by the right wing cancel culture. But we know what that stands for. And yeah, so I saw that Dr. Seuss is canceled, Mr. Potato Head, and all that, and I saw this really. I don't even know what to call it, but it's a very kind of conservative libertarian response. So there was a tweet that talked about how it got canceled, and then you know who Blair White is, right?
Yeah, the
Okay.
tranny, right? She's
The tranny conservative.
Tranny right wing. Yeah, that's exactly. Oxymoron right there.
Exactly. So I'm going to pull up the tweet really quick, but she had a tweet where she expresses outrage over the fact that Dr. Seuss is canceled, and this is her big take.
Blair White should be in jail, but go on.
Yeah, as should a lot of people. Blair White's big take was eBay banned Dr. Seuss books, but still allows Mein Kampf. Everything is stupid and exhausting. And the room started shaking, and I had to drop my phone, and because it was such a hot take,
the studio was shaking.
Like the studio was literally shaking because she said Mein Kampf, and she's right wing, so she's anti. Mind blown. So I quote tweeted her, and I said, I hate this framing because it assumes Mein Kampf should be banned and reaffirms World War II as the West Central narrative. Who cares about Mein Kampf? Either read it or don't talk about it. And I had one more tweet. It said, they're selling, these are all quotes. I'm quoting the right here. They're selling Mein Kampf, but ban Dr. Seuss. The left are the real Nazis. Yeah. And they said Trump was a dictator. Hitler banned the books too, with the thinking face emoji. All of this thinking plays into the left's worldview and is the definition of just playing not to lose rather than playing to win. And I think the right, obviously I always say this, but not our side. We get framing and everything, but the right gets lost in that dialectic a lot where they're just playing so hard to not lose, but never to win. And there's never an affirmative worldview. It's always, can you believe what those crazy liberals just did in banning Dr. Seuss? What next? And it's like, we're already seeing what next. We're on the what next, and there's more to come. So I just kind of wanted your thoughts on that and see where that kind of leads.
I think what's more stupid and exhausting, as Blair White said, is not the fact that Dr. Seuss is being canceled. I think it's the fact that she's not in a forced labor camp being forced to read Bible verses 24 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly.
But this whole entire, the conservative, the modern conservative, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? The whole outlook of the modern conservative is that it's low taxes, small government, and talking about how crazy the left is, but then never wanting to enforce your will when you have state power. And it's always capitulating or giving in to the left's moral framework. We take their paradigm of what is good and what is evil, and then we try to fit into that, but only by a couple years behind. And it goes with everything. It goes with gay marriage. You look at what conservatives were saying in like the 1990s about gay marriage. They were saying, no, that's an unacceptable, never going to happen. Then
even Democrats
exactly up until like 2008. But then like in the year 2000, conservatives were like, well, yeah, of course homosexuality is a perfectly acceptable lifestyle. We just don't think they should get married. And then in 2015, 2015, it was like, oh, well, homosexuals should be able to get married. We just don't want them teaching our children about transgender issues. And now it's
And
like, oh, well,
now
of
it's like,
course
well,
we
they
can
can,
castrate our children, but these crazy liberals want to sacrifice our children to Moloch. And that's just unacceptable. You know,
yeah,
it's just,
yeah,
it
exactly.
continues to progress. And it's like a never ending cycle. So what really are we conserving? And I was
Yeah,
listening to, from the Zoom call that Nick did like a year ago or whatever it was, and he was talking about the struggle between conservatism and paleoconservatism, where he's talking about the Birch Society versus National Review, and then the neocons who were really Trotskyites, basically taking over what conservative means and they won basically. Now it means, like I said,
exactly.
the small government, the low taxes and stuff like that, when conservatism should be synonymous with nationalism, preserving your nation, conserving the cultural fabric and social fabric of your nation. And now anybody who is that type of conservative gets ostracized or called insane. Meanwhile, these conservatives are doing nothing but being the left wing of the right wing establishment. Basically, they
Yeah.
are just conserving the status quo and towing the establishment line.
Yeah, it's very much this because after I looked at Blair White's tweet before we started this, it led me down like the Dave Rubin rabbit hole, and it's just like I went to his profile and his Twitter account, and it's just this very like low resolution take of like, oh, this is just getting so crazy, and it's very unserious because really when you look at it, our country is being transformed and has been transformed, but then our serious thinkers like Dave Rubin or anyone else that people consider a part of like on the right wing. I know we don't consider him a serious thinker, but there's hundreds of thousands of people that are subscribed to his YouTube channel, and I'm sure there's a lot of boomers that are like, see, he's the gay conservative, and he's really got his head on straight. Those people are really being gaslit and led down a path that has there's no meat to the ideology. It's just don't let the left do what they're already doing, and if we ever have the ability to stop it, well, what are we supposed to do? Use state power to stop them? That's what liberals do, and I don't want to be a liberal. So it's just kind of like this fundamental misunderstanding of what conservatism is, and it's pretty disgusting. Not only that conservative ideology has been subverted, but you look at who's subverting it. People like Dave Rubin, the gay conservative. People like Rob Smith, the gay black conservative. Blair White, someone who you rightly said should probably be in a better
Jail,
time in a
in a
labor camp
mental institution. Yeah.
reading Bible verses. So it's offensive what's actually happening to the conservative movement, if you can even call it that anymore. But yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of that at CPAC. I'm sure Nick was talking about this Friday. There was the transgender person at the log cabin Republicans stand at CPAC. It's a total subversion of what's good and right and is truly conservative. So
there is no such thing as an openly gay, or I should say actively gay, who's living a homosexual lifestyle. There's no such person that is conservative, because if you're conservative, you understand that homosexuality does not contribute to the prosperity of your nation. So maybe you can be attracted to men and have wicked desires of homosexuality, but if you're actively partaking in that lifestyle and you want to claim that you're a conservative, it's just an oxymoron, because you're going against God's natural order. You're going against values. We are all sinners. We all have the desire to engage in sin and do things that are bad for us and bad for our nation, because that's just our natural nature, but we don't engage in it, or we try the best of our ability to stop engaging in those things. So when these people who are like, yeah, I'm an openly gay conservative, download my gay conservative app and I'll promote homosexuality and I'll stand on stage and wave the gay flag, but I'm a conservative, it just doesn't make any sense, and you actually look ridiculous. And it's this whole idea, like with the Mein Kampf thing, you can't even talk about Mein Kampf or Hitler or anything like that in a nuanced way. You can't separate Hitler from his atrocities. You can't talk about him as a statesman or the policies he's enacted before the war, or else you become labeled a neo-Nazi, or you're empathetic towards Hitler, which is exactly what happened to me. I made a video in October or something talking about Hitler's like economic policies and why from his point of view, why he wanted to expel Jews and stuff like that. I didn't give my opinion or do anything unoptical whatsoever. I was just giving the facts that nobody really talks about ever. And the whole point of the video was to say that you can talk about like Mao and Stalin as statesmen and talk about their policies, but you can separate from the millions of people they killed, but you can't do that with Hitler. That was the whole point of my video. And somebody wrote another article about me, right, calling me a neo-Nazi and that I'm empathetic towards Hitler and stuff like that. So the point that I'm bringing up here is that no matter what, we are going to be called Nazis. We are going to be called white nationalists. We know that we are not those things, and we shouldn't call ourselves those things because for multiple reasons, we're not those things. And second of all, it's just not a good strategy politically wise.
Right.
But we can't be afraid of the left to call us these things because that is just us capitulating to their moral framework. These people are evil. They are our enemies. They believe in murdering babies. They think homosexuality is an acceptable lifestyle. They believe in this transgender abstract nonsense that goes against God's natural order. We are not in the wrong. They are, and we need to stop trying to fit into their moral framework.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty offensive again, because like you said, they are evil and they're co-opting good people. The thing is that, your average boomer who doesn't maybe understand the things that we're talking about, it's a good person. They're just being led down a path by someone like Blair White or Dave Rubin or someone like that, who makes them feel like they are doing the right thing. And, oh, well, no, it's okay. I don't want to be considered that homophobic label or that racist label or something. So it's really using like the best parts of their nature against them. And these are good Christian people that are at CPAC that are being told, oh, no, this is the new conservatism. This is Lady MAGA or some transgender at the, the log cabin Republicans booth or something like that. So it's pretty offensive, and it's evil what that subversion is doing to the movement. So
Somebody just posted a new video of Nick talking to Lady MAGA. Was that from this year? Was that from last week?
no, I didn't think he talked to Lady MAGA this year.
I saw somebody posted on Twitter. It looked like it was more recent because it wasn't from CPAC last year where everybody was gathered around. And somebody said that they could hear you laughing in the background. So I thought maybe you were there or something. I guess not. But Lady MAGA was in this white dress, and Nick was next to Beardson and Jaden. There was a couple of cameras around. They were talking or whatever. But yeah, it's just like letting these like evil things into conservatism is just basically drifting us further left. And that's exactly what they want to do. They want there to be essentially no difference between the left and the right socially, right? Social conservatism and social issues don't get talked about unless it's from the left talking about how racist everybody is. And then the right, instead of saying like, fuck you, we don't care if you call us racist, they're like, no, actually you're the racist. We're the one.
It's everything. Every social conversation is either started by the left or it's the right accepting their framework when talking about it. So yeah, keep going. It's either from us capitulating or the left imposing their worldview. It's one of the two every time, except for the conversations that we have on our side of the right.
And I feel like it's still not clicking in a lot of conservatives' heads. Like you said, the people who support Republicans and conservatives, these are God-fearing, good Christian middle-class people who are just not as politically aware and don't understand how to articulate viewpoints and are just being lied to by the media constantly. So they're essentially, maybe they're not even in favor of the way that conservatism is drifting left, but they don't really know how to fight back,
right.
So they just accept it, and but you'll see like boomers now will fight back, but like they'll do it in a very very boomer way, but you do see this tension arising where people are realizing how insane the left is, but they don't understand that they go, okay, now they've gone too far. Now transgender kids, now that's too far. Every other day, it's like they do something crazy and they're like, oh, now it's too far. And they don't understand that it begins with everything.
Exactly.
We can't accept transgender kids. We can't accept homosexuality.
Well, it's like you don't even get to abortion unless you accept contraception. That's really what led to that.
100%.
So yeah, there's never that moment where it's like, okay, this not only is this too far, we need to start going the opposite direction. It's kind of the same thing with gun control. I mean, that's not on the level of evil taking people's guns away as it is to murder a fetus or something. But it's the same thing with gun control. Your modern Republican, the most they can say is, hey, actually, I don't want an assault rifle bill passed or something. They'll never take the next step and say, actually, also, I want all of the old laws, all the old gun control laws repealed in order to ensure that the Second Amendment is not, infringed upon. So there's never like that step where we need to actively push back. It's always just stop hurting.
Exactly. We got to stop having this like, okay, we need to negotiate with these people. We need to like, have a conversation and see where we can, maybe it's about compromise. And that's how this political, it's like, no, there is no compromising with these people. These people are the epitome of evil. We give an inch and they take a mile and they just continue to go. It's never going to stop. The end result of what the left is trying to accomplish right now is basically criminalizing white people, just for existing, basically
Right.
making them second-class citizens, which they already essentially are, just making it official, and punishing anybody who says things that are natural, that like there are two different genders and stuff like that. And ultimately, what the real end result is, in my opinion, is pedophilia. That is what they are going to try
Yeah.
to legalize and normalize later. And you see this with them trying to rebrand pedophilia as, what is it, minor attracted people, MAPS or
Yeah, they
some
do the
nonsense
map
like
thing.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
You look at Vosh, or as we call him, fat gay retard. He has this clip, a bunch of clips going around where he is, what is it called? He's defending owning child porn. And he's
Oh,
saying
I've
that it's,
heard that before. Yeah.
so
Well, keep going. There's another thing about Blush we can touch on a little bit.
so essentially, his argument is that child porn should be legal because Apple makes iPhones or something using slave labor or something like that. So how is the immorality of owning a phone created by slaves any different than owning child porn? And obviously, that's such an easy thing to answer. The immorality or morality of something does not negate or justify the morality or immorality of something else. One
Right.
thing being bad doesn't negate something else being bad. And also, it's not comparable to compare something that could be made by slaves, but it could also be made by not slaves. It could just be made. Comparing that to something that requires the rape of children in order for it to exist, in order for the production to exist of child porn, a child needs to get raped. And by saying that you should tolerate or accept that somebody owns that thing, you're saying that children should be raped in order for them to have that. And you saying like, oh, well, a child was already raped. Well, then you just go back to capitalism, supply and demand. If there's a market for children being raped, then more children are going to get raped. Basically, he's just a pedophile who sympathizes with pedophile. And he's the same type of people who are calling us Nazis, who are calling us, what's it called, the epitome of evil. Meanwhile, he has sex with trans people and thinks that child porn should be illegal. So
Yeah, yeah, these people are disgusting, and as if there's any moral equivalence between a child being raped and owning an iPhone that's ridiculous. Um, yeah, Vosh is an interesting character. He's an evil, disgusting person. I mean, obviously. Um,
who's sponsored by YouTube and Google and never been demonetized or anything like that.
yeah, exactly. And actually, that you actually hit a good point there. That's true. If within capitalism, the worst things really do become incentivized, and that's why I think our arguments against capitalism not being anti markets or anything like that, but the level of capitalism that we have now, I think
Regulate
it's important.
capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's an important role that we have to play too, in kind of the public sphere, because one of the things that I noticed was like one of the first things, it was basically Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro's interview that they did a while ago. Um, One of the things that I noticed was that capitalism will really incentivize like the worst aspects of society. And we're kind of seeing that with the level of degeneracy that we have now. So that's just kind of a side point. But
State-sponsored usury, like E. Michael Jones says, it's basically and it's materialism. It's putting material over God. And now that's not, now people confuse like this ultra international corporate capitalism with a market economy. You can still have a market economy. Competition is always good between businesses and stuff like that, but you need to be able to regulate it so that it doesn't disrupt the moral and social fabric of your nation. Your nation should come first. So no, I don't think that porn should be legal, because it's just
exactly.
it's hurting the morality of our nation, and your nation is only as good as what it tolerates.
Yeah. And it's like what Tucker Carlson said is that if I look up and the economic system that we have in place is, negatively impacting my nation, my family, my children, my neighborhood, my city, you name it, all of which capitalism is currently doing, that I'm totally fine with smashing that system, regulating it, because to conservatives, regulating capitalism is the same as smashing it.
You're
But
just like the left. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But if that's what that entails, in order to maintain a stable society, then so be it. There's no problem with that in my book. And I think conservatives are actually coming a long way with that. And ironically, it took tech censorship for them to kind of like come around on that issue. Became increasingly ridiculous to see President Trump banned from Twitter and have the response be, "Well, just start your own Twitter." I think normie conservatives are kind of coming around to that too.
But still,
I believe.
nothing is getting done. Like
Yeah.
sometimes like they'll take a stand and they'll be like, this is enough. We need to be absolutist when it comes to free speech. We need to be absolutist when it comes to gun control, and we can't tolerate any of this stuff. And then it's like, okay, you speak a good game, but what are you doing about it? What policies are you implementing to prevent that from further extending? You know, look at Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, every time something happens with big tech and they have these assemblies or whatever, and they go to Congress and they talk to Jack Dorsey and Zuckerberg and all these people, and another YouTube clip of base Ted Cruz owning
Yeah.
the libs of big tech in Silicon Valley. It's like,
And
okay, but what is happening? They're
then
still
it
doing
leads to a Daily Wire article about it where they
yeah,
put in
he's
all
just
caps,
yeah.
smashes Jack Dorsey. And it's like, yeah, nothing's getting done and you don't have any real solutions. And that's funny you bring up Ted Cruz. I was talking with someone in my family and they were so excited about that speech that he gave at CPAC where he was like, I know. I know. I mean, he was like, he was doing that, that screaming thing on the stage, and he like quotes Braveheart. It's like, dude, there's nothing brave about you. Like, you don't have any real solutions. You go and do interviews. You're the face of conservatism. You're what the boomers think of when they hear brave conservative. But it's like, I would take someone like Gosar or Nick or anyone on our side any day of the week over.
Gosar is just continuously impressing me, honestly, bro. With everything, dude. You saw that meme that he posted that Nick retweeted?
Yes.
GTA or whatever, the prostitute meme.
Yeah. I'll do anything for $50. Tell me that America first is inevitable.
Bro, that's literally Nick Fuentes' quote in a meme form being retweeted by a sitting congressman. Do you understand how insane that is?
That is
crazy.
And yeah, kudos to Gosar. Also, if you're listening to this, you should definitely consider going to his campaign site and donating. He is under a lot of pressure right now for advocating for America First ideology and making an appearance at the conference. So I would definitely say, if you're watching this, consider going to his site because he's a brave guy.
Absolutely. And what I was going to say is, oh yeah, fucking Ted Cruz. I always have been on the fence about him, whether I liked him or not. I hated him during the 2016 election when he didn't endorse Trump at the RNC. I thought that was a really stupid cuck move to do. And then he started to get a little bit better during Trump's presidency. But since that, he's really just been absolutely doing nothing. And you have to remember that his wife like worked for Goldman Sachs. He's like this corporate, like heritage fund molded conservative.
Yeah, he's
right?
Out of a petri dish.
Right. Yeah, and I love that quote so much.
It's perfect.
I've been thinking about this, and I've said this in a couple of videos now. I feel like the further left your ideology goes, right, your physiognomy, your face, and your features just start to reflect the ugliness of your beliefs. Right. And if you look at Ted Cruz, or you look at Hunter Avalon and even Vosh a couple of years ago, how they were relatively handsome, they had good bone structure, they had like their skin was tight and stuff like that on their face, and now it's just like they're melting, they're scrunched up. Now Ted Cruz has that disgusting mullet and stuff like that.
Yeah, what's up with that? That is just not. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I really do think that like as you go against God, that like you become physically uglier. I think there's something to that. I haven't fully been able to completely articulate this point, but I'm looking more into it, and it really seems like there is something to that. I'm not joking.
I wish there was more literature on physiognomy, to be honest with you, because like that's something very much that our side talks about, and there's a ton of truth to it. I just wish there was more writing on it about how your soul reflects through your eyes and your face and everything like that. So
that's a good. Yeah, there you go. Your soul, as your soul darkens, it expresses itself through your features.
Yeah, it's really true. And honestly, one of the first things I had with that was I think that's more applicable to women. I think men's physiognomy is more important, like bone structure, canthal tilt, all that. With women, it's really in the eyes. You can read the body count through the eyes, to be honest with you. That's what I still think that. I saw that.
Come here, babe. Well, open your eyes. Nah, you're not.
Yeah,
you're
let
me
see.
Wait to me.
5. No.
It's like the freckles, like how many freckles they get, but it's in the eyes.
Yeah. Well, they get the bags under the eyes. But yeah, it's really true with women. You can see their soul through the eyes. I saw that with Gabby Katharina during Groyper Wars and the TikTok Wars. I zoomed in on a picture. I was like, this is a lost person. You can literally see it.
So I never talk about these people anymore because they're just really dumb and they make no good points. But there is this podcast of leftists, and it's basically this cadre of these two completely dysgenic, disgusting pedophile sympathizers, Billy the Fridge and some other guy. And they were associated with the guy Amazing Atheist, who
Oh yeah.
he's an atheist, so nothing he says really matters. He's also the one who had that scandal where he shoved a banana up his ass or something like that. So
I didn't
apparently in
know that
November
part.
when apparently in November when I went to the first Million MAGA march, these podcasters found my video, and then they started watching my YouTube channel on their podcast and making fun of me and mocking me and stuff like that, right? And I responded once, and I watched their reaction of mine or whatever, and I destroyed them because they are really dumb. They make no good points. They are politically illiterate, and plus they're just complete degenerate alcoholics. They believe they're totally open to homosexuality and stuff like that. But I stopped responding to them because I realized like what they're saying, because their morals mean nothing or whatever, that I'm not even going to engage with them. But people almost every week will message me saying, "Oh, did you see that the drunken peasants, or the drunken pedophiles, as I call them, have talked about you again?" And I'm like, "No." And then I look at it or whatever, and it's like almost every week they are featuring my videos on their podcast. They did like 6 weeks in a row, then they took a break, and then they just did another one talking about, because that Antifa guy like was slandering me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. And they just make no good points. They just keep calling me a Nazi and a white supremacist and all of this stuff, and not answering anything that I say. And it's like, I'm not going to continue to engage with you because your opinion and what you say means nothing. This guy, Billy the Fridge, was talking about how he has two gay guys come into his house and they had sex in his shower without his permission. And he was just like, okay with it. And he was like, oh, no, that's cool, you know? And then he's talking about how
He sounds like a conservative. That would be really
yeah, right.
racist of me to kick him.
He must be in the GOP.
He
And
works for
then
TPUSA, I guess.
he keeps calling me he keeps calling me gay for liking Nick Fuentes, right? He's like, oh, you must want to give Nick Fuentes a blowjob. Sorry for being vulgar, but this is what the stuff that he was saying, right? And it's like, but then he's saying, it would be really hot if you had two dads, and talking about like his gay friends and stuff like that. It's like, wait, so is homosexuality an insult, or are you trying to insult me by calling me gay? Because obviously I'm not trying to be like, oh, that's hypocritical or whatever, but it's like,
Yeah.
live up to your own standards, you know?
Yeah,
It makes
exactly.
absolutely no sense. These people are so dumb and evil. And the point I was trying to make is that all of these people are just physically repulsive, you
Yeah.
know?
And what's funny about it with leftists, especially, and Nick talked about this also on a show recently, but all of their insults when they really when you break down their worldview, it's like everything has to be sexualized. It's like
Yep.
they can't criticize you liking Nick because um you know, I don't even know what another good reason would be, but they always have to tie it into, oh, I bet you want to make out with him. It's like,
Yeah.
no, why is that so in your brain
They're
about?
obsessed with genitals. They're obsessed with sex.
Yeah,
They can't think anything outside of that whatsoever.
yeah,
Like, oh,
exactly.
you admire a political figure? Yeah, you definitely want to have sex with him.
Yeah, or also, you know, it's these basement dwellers can't get laid, and you look up and most of them have families
Bro,
or incredibly good looking, and it's like it's just not true.
Bro, that was the first thing that they said. They said, when, because they didn't know anything about me, and they were looking at one of my videos, and they were like, this kid's an incel. He has to make videos in his car because his mom will hear him if he's in his house or whatever. He's never kissed a girl or stuff. So I went in my
That is
video.
so
I
funny.
was like, I own my own house. I have a full-time career. I have two kids. Or I was like, what are you talking about? And then they responded to that video, and they were like, well, we weren't being serious. You know, obviously you're just offended or whatever. And it's like, wait, so I'm insecure and offended when I tell you that what you said was completely untrue, because my whole entire life doesn't fit into the narrative that you're trying to portray. But all right, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing with me. If I ever get into it with someone, they'll just like take a picture of me and zoom in on my face, and I just quote tweet it every time. And I'm like, hey, that's a handsome guy, and I have a girlfriend, and I'm doing just fine in my life. So it's funny. They have the same. It's like that Scott Greer. He's, you know, spin the wheel, and it's going to be chud, basement dweller, never had sex, or you know, something like that. So
And I think that's part of the reason too why like, when, besides leftists just being evil, so anything they say I don't take seriously anyway. But like, if they had good insults, like somebody actually had a good insult the other day. They said that I looked like Seth MacFarlane got beaten with a bag full of hammers. I thought that was a very like interesting,
okay,
like rare insult. Like, it took, like, that's all right. You know, that's pretty funny actually, right?
I will.
So,
And then I will actually call it out if someone insults me like pretty well, and
yeah,
it's like
that's a
legit.
good
I'll be
insult.
like, all right, I'll take
That
that.
took some thought. That's not bad,
Exactly,
you know.
exactly.
Yeah, all they say is like stuff that isn't true. Like, I know
Hmm.
that I'm not bad looking. I know that I'm not an incel. You know, I know that I am a productive member of my
Member,
society who is well liked, who has friends and a wife and family that loves them. So like, what really are you going to say to me that's going to
yeah,
offend me? You
you're a
know?
net tax contributor, not a drain on
Yeah,
the system. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, all the insults don't seem to stick when you really
You know
break
what
them
else
down.
you know what else is funny? So in one of my videos that they were reacting to, I was saying, oh yeah, so I went to the Million MAGA March with my dad and father-in-law, and the guy was like, dad and father-in-law. Wait, so he has two dads? And the other guy was like, no, his wife's dad. And he was like, oh, I don't know how that works. I'm not married. It's like, yeah,
Well,
we know.
yeah, we know
Yeah,
that
we got that. Yeah.
what gave it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's funny. I am probably gonna cut this video a little short. I'm not feeling great, and I've been off kind of this entire video, and I've been offline a little bit this past week. So this will probably be a shorter one. But if you want to pick back up like this weekend or something like that, I'm down.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I
Is
think
that
you were doing
cool?
fine, but yeah, no problem. All right, good. I hope you feel better and good to see you.
A little bit off today, so
Yeah, all
it's
right.
but yeah, man, we're good. Yeah, this will be up on the channel. I'll put where people can follow you in the description and everything. So
Yeah, absolutely. You can
um,
find out everywhere you can find Jordan in my description. I'm sure he'll put where I'll be in his description. So, all right, man.
yeah, man.
One thing I want to
Um,
leave everybody with though is that stop being upset or getting mad when these people call you Nazis or white supremacists or anything like that. And remember what Jesus said. Jesus said, if the world hates you, remember that it hated me first.
that is a perfect way to end this video, and I could not agree more. All
Awesome. See you later.
right, man. I'll talk to you later.
I see it. All right, bro. See you later.